At 9:47 a.m. Eastern Time this morning, Monday, February 9th, 2026, the federal docket in Manhattan updated with a single explosive directive. Judge Patricia Reeves has signed an emergency order authorizing U.S. Marshals to take Ivanka Trump into immediate custody. The surrender deadline is set for noon today. But the legal mechanism triggering this arrest isn't just about financial irregularities or flight risk. It stems from a document filed by the one person expected to save her. Melania Trump has placed a refusal on the official record that has left legal analysts stunned. Everything now hinges on the next 30 minutes at a private residence in Bedford, New York. To understand why armed marshals are currently positioned outside a gated estate in Westchester County, we must look at the ruling that dismantled the defense's strategy. Just 6 months ago, a jury convicted Ivanka Trump on 5 separate counts, including wire fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy to defraud investors. The charges focused on a luxury hotel development in Abu Dhabi, a project that raised $340 million from investors who were promised 18% annual returns. Federal prosecutors successfully argued that those returns never materialized. Instead, the capital reportedly vanished into shell companies registered in Delaware, Wyoming, and the Cayman Islands. The defense maintained this was a business failure. The government called it a calculated scheme where investors were told, in an email entered into evidence, that they were investigating in access, not just real estate. On Friday, February 6, 2026, at the Daniel Patrick Moynihan Courthouse, Judge Reeves handed down a sentence of 42 months, 3.5 years, at FCI Danbury in Connecticut. The court originally ordered self-surrender for February 16th. However, that window has been abruptly shut. Everything now depends on whether Ivanka Trump complies with the revised noon deadline today, because failure to do so will result in her classification as a federal fugitive. We are also looking ahead to the status hearing scheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday, February 10th, where the court will address the custody status. The timeline accelerated aggressively over the weekend due to 2 distinct factors: the movement of capital and the silence of the family. According to filings from the prosecutor's office, within 90 minutes of the sentencing hearing on Friday, financial irregularities were flagged. Approximately $47 million in cash and securities was moved through 3 brokerage accounts, with wire transfers hitting institutions in Switzerland, Singapore, and the British Virgin Islands. Simultaneously, property deeds for 2 Manhattan condominiums were transferred to a South Dakota trust with no public officers listed. Ivanka's legal team characterized this as standard asset protection. The prosecution characterized it as liquidation in preparation for flight. But the legal battle turned on a character statement. In a bid to secure release pending appeal, the defense sought testimony from family members to establish strong community ties. When Melania Trump's personal attorney was contacted by the U.S. Attorney's Office regarding a potential statement of support, the response was not a negotiation. It was a rejection. The reply, reportedly submitted on Monday morning, contained just 3 sentences. It stated that Mrs. Trump declined to provide testimony or a written statement regarding Ivanka Trump's character or sentencing and wished to make clear she took no position on the proceedings. This refusal removed a critical pillar of the defense's argument for bail. But why would a stepmother, regardless of private tensions, place a written refusal on the federal record, knowing it would be used to revoke bond? Sources close to the investigation suggest this was a calculated legal separation. However, the prosecution didn't just have a lack of family support. They had data that alarmed the court far more than the silence from Washington. During an emergency conference call at 8:30 a.m. this morning, a call that lasted only 14 minutes, prosecutors presented phone records obtained over the weekend. The logs allegedly showed 23 calls made from Ivanka Trump's device to a private aviation company in Teeterboro, New Jersey, and a law firm in Dubai specializing in residency visas. The search history recovered included inquiries into countries with no extradition treaties with the United States. Judge Reeves viewed this data and issued the revocation in less than 2 minutes. As we speak, the situation on the ground in Bedford, New York, is fluid and tense. Ivanka Trump is currently located at a private residence on 14 acres, a property owned by a trust connected to Jared Kushner's family. Court-ordered ankle monitor data confirmed her presence there earlier this morning. Initially, 3 black SUVs carrying U.S. Marshals arrived at the gate at 10:00 a.m., By 11 a.m., that presence had increased to 6 vehicles. Defense attorneys have stated they are cooperating, yet sources speaking on background allege that there was an initial refusal to exit the residence, requiring marshals to negotiate surrender protocols for over an hour. This resistance, if verified in the Marshals report, could lead to additional obstruction charges. The background to this standoff involves deep internal fractures within the Trump dynamic. Reports confirm that Melania Trump has been meeting with divorce attorneys since last summer. Sources suggest her primary motivation was not her husband's legal jeopardy, but the liability Ivanka presented to the family brand and, crucially, to Melania's own financial settlements. The refusal to testify appears to be a documentation strategy, creating a legal firewall between herself and the fraud conviction. Allegations have also surfaced regarding a 47-minute phone call between Donald and Melania Trump on Sunday night. While verification is needed on the exact contents, it is claimed that Donald asked for a reconsideration of the support statement, to which Melania reportedly replied, "She made her choices. I'm making mine." This leaves Donald Trump in a paralysis of his own making. He has remained silent on Truth Social since Friday. He is reportedly at Mar-a-Lago, facing an impossible political calculus: defend his daughter and risk a public war with his wife during an election year, or stay silent and appear weak. Meanwhile, foreign intelligence agencies are undoubtedly watching. Ivanka's business dealings in China, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, where the fraudulent hotel deal was centered, mean she possesses information of significant geopolitical value. If facing 42 months in isolation, the question becomes, does she trade that information for leniency? The procedural posture right now is binary. Judge Reeves' order revoked the self-surrender privilege, meaning Ivanka Trump is no longer a defendant on bail. She is a detainee in transit. The asset flight evidence, specifically the $47 million transfer, has likely destroyed any chance of an appeal bond. In the eyes of the court, you cannot argue you are staying in the country while your money is moving to the British Virgin Islands. Furthermore, Melania's on-the-record refusal is judicially significant. It signals to the court that the defendant lacks a cohesive supervisory network, which is a key factor judges use when determining flight risk. By removing that support, the family has effectively accelerated her incarceration. The legal machinery is functioning exactly as designed, stripping away the protection of the family name and focusing strictly on the statutes violated. The clock is running down. By noon today, minutes from now, Ivanka Trump will either be in federal custody or classified as a fugitive. Following this deadline, the legal calendar is set. Tomorrow, Tuesday, February 10th, Judge Reeves will hold the status hearing to confirm custody. On Thursday, February 13th, Donald Trump is scheduled to appear at a campaign rally in South Carolina, his first public opportunity to address this development. Finally, on Friday, February 14th, prosecutors are expected to file additional charges related to the post-sentencing asset transfers. The Marshals are at the gate, the warrant is active, and the world is waiting to see if the Trump dynasty bends to the law or breaks trying to outrun it. I will be tracking the docket updates the moment they are filed. Subscribe to stay briefed as the documents drop.